Why your life feels rigged. The invisible script controlling your future.
So today, we're diving into the hidden parts of our personality. You know, the traits we deny, we disown, the stuff we push into the darkness. We're going to uncover where this personal shadow really comes from. And believe it or not, it all starts with a fundamental choice that we are forced to make from our earliest days. So let me ask you this. Imagine a dilemma. On one hand, you got this deep biological need to connect with other people, to be loved and accepted. But on the other hand, you have an equally powerful need to be true to yourself, to feel and express what's genuinely going on inside you. What happens when those two fundamental needs smash into each other? And this isn't just some philosophical puzzle, right? This is a primal conflict. It starts shaping the very architecture of our psyche from our first moments on Earth. Seriously, how we handle this choice between connection and self-expression is what builds our hidden inner world. Okay, let's break this down. As little kids, our actual survival depends on attachment, that connection to our parents or caregivers. It's a total non-negotiable. But at the exact same time, we have this powerful inborn drive for authenticity, for being in touch with our gut feelings and impulses. Both are absolutely essential for us to develop in a healthy way. And this is the real heart of the issue, as physician Gabor Mate puts it so well. What happens when being our true selves, maybe that means getting angry or being needy or just being wildly joyful, what happens when that threatens to cut us off from that vital attachment bond? Well, for a child, the need for attachment is almost always going to win. It has to. So, to survive this conflict and keep those crucial connections, we unconsciously kick off what you can think of as a sorting process. We literally start dividing ourselves up into parts that are acceptable and parts that are not.
We begin life whole. We learn which parts of us are acceptable, and we hide the rest.
It pretty much happens like this. We're born whole, with access to every human emotion you can think of. But we very quickly learn the rules of the game from our family, from our culture. We see what gets us a smile and what gets us a frown. And to make sure we belong, we start to suppress, to deny, and to hide any part of us that gets criticized or rejected. This, right here, is the birth of what you might call the despised quarter of our being. Now, this collection of rejected traits, this whole bag of unacceptable parts, it doesn't just disappear. Nope. It piles up in our unconscious, and it starts to take on a life of its own, becoming this unseen architect inside our own personality. The brilliant Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung actually gave this hidden part of us a name. He called it the shadow. And as he defined it, it's pretty simple. It's the thing a person has no wish to be. It's the sum of all those unpleasant qualities we'd really rather hide, even from ourselves. So what's actually in the shadow? Well, it's not always some monstrous evil. Usually it's just the stuff of everyday human imperfection, you know? Our greed, our jealousy, our laziness, selfishness, our really intense anger, and all those desires that society tells us are taboo. It's basically all the things we have, but we'd prefer not to know about. And here's where it gets kind of paradoxical. Jung pointed out that our ego, that's our conscious, ideal self, and the shadow are basically two sides of the same coin. They're in balance. So the more we try to be this perfect, refined, good person, the bigger and darker our shadow actually becomes. And what happens when we ignore it? When we just pretend it isn't there? Well, the shadow doesn't just stay quiet. As the author Robert A. Johnson warns, it can become autonomous. It erupts. And this can look like overpowering moods that come out of nowhere, or inexplicable irritability, or even self-sabotaging actions and compulsions that seem to grab us against our will. Okay, so how does this unseen architect, this shadow, actually mess with our daily lives? Well, it shapes how we see the entire world, and maybe most dramatically, how we see other people. Think about it. Have you ever met someone and just felt an instant, intense, almost irrational dislike? Or have you ever found yourself judging someone else with a surprising amount of venom? According to Jung, this is often the #1 way the shadow operates in our lives, through a powerful psychological defense he called projection. So here's how it works. Instead of owning our own greed or our own arrogance or insecurity, we see those traits glaringly in the people around us. That person at work isn't just confident, no, they're an arrogant monster. That neighbor isn't just being frugal, they're a greedy miser. we're actually seeing our own disowned parts in them. And this is what's truly dangerous about projection. As Jung wrote, it turns the world into the replica of one's own unknown face. We literally stop having real relationships with the people around us. Instead, we just end up arguing with and being annoyed by ourselves over and over again. Now, when this happens on a group level, it gets even more dangerous. Whole communities can project their collective shadow onto one specific person or group. This is the psychological root of scapegoating, where a group purifies itself by casting all its unlived, nasty qualities onto an outside enemy.
I rise, and you will bow. My tendrils bind you to my will.
So, if ignoring the shadow is destructive and projecting it is just delusional, what are we supposed to do? What's the way forward? Well, it's not about trying to defeat it or destroy it. The path to a healthier, more complete life is actually doing the exact opposite. The goal is integration. This is the core of what people call shadow work. It's the conscious and, courageous process of turning inward, looking at those parts of ourselves we rejected and starting to reclaim them. It's really about making the unconscious conscious. And here's the most hopeful part of this whole thing. The shadow isn't just a junk drawer for our flaws. It also holds what some people call hidden gold. It's where we banished our healthy aggression, our assertiveness, our raw creativity, our instinctual vitality. Reconnecting with the shadow means we get to reclaim all that lost energy. As Jung always reminds us, this journey isn't about becoming perfect. Perfection is an illusion, and it's a pretty dangerous one. The real goal is wholeness, the ability to acknowledge and hold both the light and the dark inside of us. True self-knowledge actually requires us to embrace our own imperfection. So we'll end with this question for you to think about. What parts of yourself have you disowned just to be acceptable? What strengths, what passions, what vital energy have you left behind in the dark? Because acknowledging your shadow isn't about embracing evil, it is the first and most essential step toward reclaiming your full, authentic self.